Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a f***ing con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician.
The fear, the horror, the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy.
Gavin Newsom must be feeling the heat right now because his longtime supporter in the media, Bill Maher, just accidentally blew the lid off some very questionable moves. Let's be clear, Maher didn't set out to expose him, but the damage is done. And now, millions are starting to see Newsom not as a polished leader, but as someone whose smooth talk hides a deeper problem. And guess who's chiming in? Joe Rogan. That's right, one of the most influential voices in media just roasted Newsom for what he's done to California, calling out the state's decline and chaos under his leadership.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want for running president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states, there's only 8 of them.
So, it's this clip that sparked Gavin Newsom's public unraveling, the one we're about to break down. It lit a fuse under the governor's carefully managed image. Sure, some voices like Bill Maher still toss around the idea that Newsom could one day make a solid presidential candidate. But let's be honest, millions of Americans see him as too ideologically driven and out of touch to lead the country. This is a governor who backed policies requiring toy stores to have gender-neutral sections. He also supported proposals that could let teachers withhold information from parents if their children express questions about identity. To many, that's not leadership. It's a step too far. Thanks to Maher pulling back the curtain, even unintentionally, more people are starting to recognize the deeper issues. But Maher wasn't the only one raising questions. Joe Rogan, the podcast heavyweight, also took aim at Newsom, criticizing his leadership and the way he's handled California since stepping into office. Rogan even cast doubt on Newsom's presidential ambitions.
Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a f***ing con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician. Just a stone-cold, narrative-driven politician. Nobody thinks he's a real human. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not, that's a human being. You know what that guy is. Same thing with RFK Jr. Whether you believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective, and you know that's a human being. With Newsom, you got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want that, but they might want it more than they want President Trump.
By the time Joe Rogan dropped that video across his platforms, Gavin Newsom was already under serious pressure. The situation was spiraling, and anyone paying attention could see it. His usual polished image gave way to shaky press appearances and defensive answers. Bill Maher's critique had already shaken his base, but Rogan's sharp takedown. That's what really sent shockwaves through the system. When two major cultural voices from completely different sides of the spectrum start calling you out in public, it's more than a PR headache. It's a full-blown political reality check. Newsom, clearly feeling the heat, knew he had to respond quickly. He rushed to get back in control, especially as tensions escalated across Los Angeles. That's when he finally stepped up to address the situation surrounding the LA unrest, something critics had long accused him of downplaying. But by then, the move felt more reactive than strategic. To many, it looked less like leadership and more like
Your decency, Mr. President, stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it, I'll say it again, it's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. This is a serious moment, and it requires serious leadership. And it's time for you to be a commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And I will have your back if you want to work in a relationship of trust and truth in the spirit of our founding fathers. But you come after poor kids, you come after families, we will do everything in our power to stand up and stand in your way.
Instead of addressing the growing unrest that followed the ICE protest in California, Gavin Newsom took a different approach. Rather than calming tensions or proposing meaningful solutions, he went on the offensive, shifting focus by criticizing Donald Trump. Did you catch how he described the ICE arrests? He portrayed them as aggressive actions targeting innocent families, a move we've seen before. Rather than presenting facts, the focus turned to emotion, optics, and political messaging. What was actually a targeted law enforcement operation, aimed at individuals in the country without legal status, was quickly reframed as a humanitarian crisis. Newsom, always quick to seize a moment, used the situation to deliver a sharp political message instead of a steady response. California deserves leadership rooted in clarity and accountability, not a media-driven narrative. And when he didn't get the headlines he wanted, Newsom went so far as to challenge Tom Homan directly, turning a serious issue into another political spectacle.
Hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Yep, that's how desperate he sounded. Newsom was clearly struggling, and he needed public support fast. So what did he do? He played the emotion card hard. He said exactly what he thought people wanted to hear, hoping to rally sympathy and cast himself as the bold defender of the vulnerable. He wanted that photo op moment, the image of a tough leader standing up for those without a voice. But dig a little deeper, and the picture changes. What you actually find is a politician focused more on optics than outcomes. This wasn't about meaningful solutions. It was about Gavin Newsom's image. He wasn't under any threat of enforcement himself, and he knew it. That's exactly why he had the confidence to challenge ICE Director Tom Homan in public, daring him to take action. But it was all theater. He understood there was no real risk, which made the whole display feel like a political performance. Dramatic, loud, and ultimately hollow. And as expected,
reporter asked me, well, could Governor Newsom or Mayor Bass be arrested? I said, well, no one's above the law. If they cross the line and commit a crime, absolutely they can. So there was no discussion about arresting Newsom. And so, you know, what he's done, he's failed that state. He waited 2 days of that city burning and people getting hurt, officers being assaulted before he made any declaration of an unlawful assembly. He's late to the game. President Trump isn't late to the game.
Tom Homan didn't hold back. He came out swinging, directly calling out Gavin Newsom's political theater for what it was. If Newsom truly wanted to be arrested, Homan said, then he should actually break the law. Commit a real crime, he quipped, and you'll see the inside of a jail cell soon enough. It was a blunt, honest response that cut through the posturing and exposed the hollow nature of Newsom's challenge. But Homan wasn't finished. He placed direct responsibility for the chaos on Newsom's shoulders. While parts of the city were in turmoil, businesses were damaged, and residents feared for their safety, Newsom remained inactive for 2 full days. No leadership, no concrete plan, just silence. Then, when President Trump stepped in and deployed the National Guard to restore order, Newsom had the nerve to push back, questioning why federal action was taken without his approval. But Homan made it clear. Newsom had his chance to lead, and he didn't take it. And he had even more to say.
Keep hearing this term ICE raids, ICE raids. What happened with how this riot started is that ICE was serving a series of criminal warrants at a business being investigated for money laundering, customs fraud, and serious violations on sending money to criminal cartels that in Colombia and Mexico that fund criminal cartel activities in the United States. It's a part of an overall conspiracy that ICE is investigating. So we were arresting bad people. We were enforcing laws and following up on a serious criminal investigation on cartel financing. So that's exactly what ICE did. And ICE took a lot of bad people off the street that day. We arrested a sexual predator, we arrested gang members, we arrested somebody that had an armed robbery conviction.
So let's set the record straight. What exactly was ICE doing? They were targeting individuals involved in serious criminal activity, not families out for ice cream or children walking to school. These arrests focused on suspects connected to a large-scale money laundering network tied to dangerous cartels operating in Colombia and Mexico. These weren't minor offenses. They were coordinated efforts funding major criminal enterprises. ISIS operation was about national security and public safety. But how did the mainstream media portray it? As if IC was raiding homes and tearing apart innocent families. That portrayal was a complete distortion of reality. And who helped amplify that narrative? Gavin Newsom. He took the stage and painted ICE agents as villains, completely ignoring the nature of the suspects being taken into custody. Instead of backing law enforcement's efforts to protect communities, Newsom chose to mislead the public. He knew the facts. But presenting himself as a defender of the vulnerable played better politically. It was classic performance politics.
Dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected. And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done in the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us.
Gavin Newsom still couldn't resist putting on a show. Ever the performer, he stepped in front of the cameras, voice trembling, eyes misty, clearly trying to appear emotional. But let's be real. It was political theater, and it showed. And just when you thought it couldn't get more scripted, he began calling on other governors to push back against Donald Trump. Why? Because law enforcement was doing its job. This is a classic move we've seen too often. Emotional appeals used in place of clear, fact-based leadership. Instead of addressing rising crime or supporting public safety, Newsom leaned into outrage and optics. He chose drama over direction, speeches over substance. His latest appearance wasn't about helping people. It was about scoring points. At the end of the day, it was another chapter in a long-running performance, one where facts are blurred and real leadership takes
I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know that you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety. What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him.
In the end, Gavin Newsom's performance unraveled faster than he could wipe away the staged emotion. What started as a calculated attempt to criticize IC and position himself as a moral leader quickly fell apart under the weight of facts, backlash, and public scrutiny. Bill Maher unintentionally spotlighted his missteps. Mel Gibson questioned his credibility, and Tom Homan dismantled the performance with direct, no-nonsense commentary. Instead of standing with law enforcement or offering real solutions, Newsom chose to cater to ideological talking points, pushed misleading narratives, and rely on emotion-driven appeals. His dramatized statements, exaggerated threats, and efforts to rally other states against Trump revealed a leader more focused on optics than outcomes. Californians deserve better than a governor who sidesteps responsibility while communities face real challenges. Now, thanks to a few bold voices cutting through the noise, the curtain has been pulled back. Gavin Newsom isn't a hero. He's a political figure caught in his own narrative. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.